Now, what's the key or what makes a good deep ball thrower?
What makes a good deep ball?
What goes into a quarterback being a deep ball?
I think every situation is a little bit different in regards to. Typically, I would say guys that can judge. Just you always want to be able to throw with air under it and allow your receivers to run underneath the ball, but sometimes the situations don't account for that based on coverage, where the safety is. There's a lot of layers to that question in regards to, the leverage that you're getting at wide receiver, and like I said, just being able to maybe either move a safety, look off a safety, but I would say more times than not, successful deep ball throwers can put some air under the ball.
How much do you think Jordan's improved at that? I feel like, his first year or so, we often would hear you say he put too much air, he put not enough air under it.
Yeah, I think he's done a pretty darn good job. So I think he's really developed. Not all of them were going to be perfect. There were a couple that were left short, but he also made a couple really nice throws as well. So, but I think, I would say that's an area that from the time he got here to where he is now, that's like many other areas has been significantly improved over time.
You guys are 4-0 in the division. It's obviously a lot better than last year. I know there's still work to do, but what do you think's been the biggest difference?
I just think we found a way to win a lot of these tight games, and a year ago we didn't. So a lot of times we were digging ourselves into holes, and we had to come back, and we just couldn't quite pull it off. And this year there's been a lot less of that.
Matt, was there anything that Jordan did adjustment-wise after that interception in the first half, and just the way he played the rest of the way?
No, I think he just shook it off. I mean, it was just one of those plays that you're like, I can't believe I did that. Now there was some detail within the play that wasn't correct either. That I'm not saying that's why it happened, but it certainly didn't help. So that's something that we absolutely cleaned up today.
Matt, you mentioned Wicks and his ankle. Is it a day-to-day thing, or was it a little bit more than that?
Yeah, he's been battling through that. And I would say it's day-to-day. I mean, he was limited in practice, and so we'll see how he progresses. But certainly we need him out there. He's a guy that you could see it early in the routes that he was running. There was one in particular, it might have been the first play of the game, where Jalen Johnson's pressed on him, and his ability to get a guy to move off the spot is pretty impressive.
So I'm just curious, because you also had Golden up, and then he didn't play a whole lot either. Are you guys giving the guys Bullard said that you kind of gave him, I don't want to say the option, but you took his input. Are you giving guys more leeway to give their feeling on whether they can play or not? You had Zach Tom earlier this year play one play.
Yeah, I would say this. I mean, you're either clear. You got to be cleared medically, obviously, but I would say that there's a level of confidence that comes with that as well. And we don't want to put guys out there that aren't necessarily confident in what they can and cannot do.
Matt, I'm curious how you felt about the run defense yesterday. On the one hand, the Bears kind of controlled the game in the second half, particularly with the run. On the other hand, they ran it 30-plus times and didn't even have a 10-yard run. So how did you feel about how your run defense did?
Yeah, I thought there were times where it was really sound and we did the right thing, and there were other times where, we have a guy off here or there, or not in the right gap, and that is a good offensive line. I'll give them a ton of credit, and I love the way those two backs run. They do a good job scheming up some things, and then just once they get going forward, those guys are tough to bring down.
Speaking of run defense, what was the thinking personnel-wise with the signing of the two big guys to replace Devontae, who's not a big guy, and then the decision to have one of those new guys up over Nazir on Sunday?
Yeah, it was just one of those deals where, first of all, it sounded like we're the biggest team, especially inside. But Devontae was doing a heck of a job, just playing with great fundamentals, great technique, and he's one of our better he's one of our better defensive players, period, but especially in the run game as well. So just to add a little bit more beef on our D-line, we thought that was an important part, and you know, it just each week it's going to be a competition in terms of who's going to be the guys out there playing.
On the last play, was Keyshawn tracing DJ Moore, and who was supposed to pick up the tight end Komet released to the...
Yeah, I mean, we obviously cut some guys loose, and Key just went out and made a play, but he was not responsible for the tight end in that situation. You know, there were a couple times where, and that happens in football at times. You got to be really clean with your eyes when you're playing man coverage and there's motions and all this, and they're running roll passes and boots, and you know, they do some things schematically that are pretty good. So they got a guy wide open. Luckily, the quarterback was rolling to his left. Otherwise, he would have been able to get that ball out of his hands much quicker.
How unique was that play?
Unique.
Yeah, I mean, is it something you
No,
know?
you see it. I mean, you see it all over the league.
Is that something where, I mean, it's 4th and 1, so you don't want to give up a yard, but if you have to choose, you always take the back man.
Well, I mean, we're playing for run right there, and they threw a pass, so we guessed wrong until we didn't. You know.
Evan actually was the one that took ownership and said that he was supposed to be responsible for Komet on that play. So just, I guess, Keyshawn's ability, though, to recognize, because he said he saw that he was unguarded. Like, is that just kind of a perfect example of it takes all 11?
Yeah, I would say so, but I appreciate that Evan took accountability. I think that's huge. I mean, that shows a pretty mature guy, a pretty secure leader that has been playing some really good football for us. And, you know, stuff happens out there on the grass. It's never going to be perfect. But when you see somebody open, and obviously he got a beat on it, and Key made a heck of a play.
Somebody said yesterday you're in first place, and first you said it means nothing, and then you said, well, it means a lot. So I understand why you would say it doesn't mean much because of the work you have to do, but what does it mean that you guys have you got some momentum now? A couple weeks ago you lost to the Panthers and the Eagles, and people were wondering kind of where you were headed.
Yeah, I mean that's life in the National Football League, and I think you just got to be resilient. You got to keep fighting, and you got to ignore all the outside noise. I mean, just focus. I really only care about what's going on in that room with our team, with our players, within our building, and all that other stuff. And we understand. I mean, like that's it's a blessing and a curse, and to be a part of the National Football League in that regard. You're going to be highly criticized, and it is what it is. So the best way to not be criticized is just find a way to win.
Did you do anything differently, or was your thought process, we know what we do works, I'm not going to change just because we've lost 2 in a row?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always trying to tweak and fine-tune things. Nothing's ever constant. At least you have a format of how you want to go about, practicing or your weekly prep. But you also have to have a feel for your team, where you're at, where you may need to invest a little bit more time, how you might want to do something a little bit different. So I would say those tweaks are pretty common, at least in our building, in terms of how we do things. And but it's just trying to find that balance. And my number one concern, and this, whether it's at the beginning of the season, end of the season, we just got to continue to fight and try to find ways to get better. And sometimes you got to overcome some obstacles, like injuries and whatnot. And there's sometimes a learning curve in terms of, okay, how do we fill that spot that this player, that void that player left there. And but that's the challenge of every team in the league. It's not like we're unique from everybody else. We're all dealing with this stuff.
And after kind of clawing your way out of that to get to where you are now, how do you make sure the guys just don't take a deep breath and relax a little?
I mean, just look at the landscape of our league. I mean, it's everybody's neck and neck from 1 through not even to the 8 seed or whatever it was, or 7 seed, or 9th seed, whatever it is. I mean, like, everybody's right there, and you can't take anything for granted. And we got a hell of a test coming up against the top ranked team in the National Football League in their house, and it'll be we're going to need a great week of preparation to go out there and to get the job done.
We hear all the time from edge rushers, the more snaps you get, the more of a chance you have to get into the rhythm. Kingsley doesn't have that possibility coming off the sideline. It just seems like every single week he's finding a way to make a play or two that really impact the game. How hard is that to do in his role, and how's he able to do that?
Yeah, I think it all starts with your mindset. I mean, his play style from the day he got here has been exactly what we're looking for. And all he does is put his head down and work. And I know that there's been some ups and downs in regards to, you want guys that want to have more ops and be out on the field. I mean, I don't want somebody that's comfortable sitting on the bench, but his ability just to maximize his opportunities has been pretty impressive. And he's played really good football for us, and he's shown an impact, certainly in the run game and in the pass game. And on special teams, I think he's a key guy for us in that regard as well.
I know you don't care about MVP odds, that's not my question, but Jordan's near the top of all of them, behind I think just Stafford and Drake May. Is what you're seeing on tape backing up that he's playing like one of the best guys?
He's playing really good football right now, and that's obviously important, and it's going to be important moving forward because, like I mentioned, we got a hell of a test. I mean, this defense is they're for real. So one of the top defenses in the league.
How good was pass protection yesterday? And there's a lot of times where Jordan just rolled out and had a great platform, launching point. How do you feel that part of the passing game went yesterday?
Yeah, I think for the most part it was pretty solid. There were times where we got a little loose, and you'd like to be able to hold on the ball a little bit longer. But I thought for the most part our guys up front did their job.
Along those lines, you've had that group together for a few weeks now, and you've mentioned Denver's defense too. How do you think they've come together, and given the challenge that's coming up on Sunday?
How our O-line is?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're getting better each and every week, and every week's a new challenge, and this is going to be one of the toughest challenges to date. I mean, aren't they on pace to break the all-time sack record? So, yeah, we're going to have our work cut out for us.
Did you pop the timeout before the 4th and 1 because of something you saw and how they lined up, or because you didn't know if Kingsley was going to get off the field in time?
Yeah, because we had 12 guys on the field. So, we're planning on calling a timeout regardless, but I just had to use it a little bit quicker than you'd like to.
In such a week-to-week league, how long do you celebrate the victories before actually getting on to the next assignment ahead?
Not very long. You got about the evening to soak it in, and then you come into work the next day, and you're focused on making the corrections and then moving on.
Matt, I know the catch didn't count, although I'm not quite sure why. What did you think of what Luke gave you, and are you starting to see him settle in a little bit, and are you getting a better idea of what all three of those guys can kind of give you individually?
Yeah, I thought those guys collectively as a whole played pretty darn good football. It was pretty cool that each one of those guys had a reception. I thought Luke, that was a heck of an effort, but apparently they didn't see it how I saw it, so that's just part of it. But yeah, I think all those guys contribute in their own way, and we're getting a better idea of what each individual brings to our offense.
Why was it so important to keep Bo on this team?
Oh, Bo is one of us. He is made of the right stuff. He is a G. So just his contributions, I think you could see it, just how excited. I mean, everybody's excited when you score a touchdown. But I don't know if you guys saw the sidelines and just how everybody reacted when he scored that touchdown. I mean, we've got to be careful that we don't have guys coming off the bench without their helmet on. So, but they were fired up for Bo, and Bo just, what you're going to get every time. You're going to get his absolute best. He is going to fight for everything out there, and what's so cool is just the moment's never too big for him. Whether it's on special teams, defense, offense, and for him to be in that situation and make obviously a very impactful play was pretty cool.
What do you thought of how he's kind of handled that course load too? Because he was telling us last night, I mean, he's kind of splitting offense, defense.
Oh, yeah. He's doing double duty.
Special teams too, yeah. Just in terms of how he's been able to kind of balance all of that.
Yeah, it's not easy, but you know, he's not afraid of it. So I think that's why he's been able to do it and do it successfully.
More, please.
Maybe Christian runs 10 of these routes every week and he doesn't get the ball, but he's so dangerous, like on the crossing route, and he had the one in Philly a couple years ago. You got to get him more of those chances to kind of get him on the run like that?
Yeah, you'd love to. It's just a lot of times it's dictated by coverage, and if you're not getting those coverages, it's hard to do, you know. So I think we hit him on a slant early in the game versus single high look, and when teams are playing like cloud or even quarters, it can be a lot more challenging to get those completions. The one on third down, that was man coverage, where it was him and Chauncey, and he just, I mean, he did a really good job setting him up and just beat him with speed.
Is anything in your game plan this week affected at all by, regardless of opponent, you just played a team that you're playing next week? Is anything affected by that?
In terms of what we would and would not show? No, absolutely not. Like, it is what it is. Like, you're going to throw your best stuff each and every week. I do think what you put on tape certainly impacts kind of some direction that you go, because you know what teams are studying and what they're preparing for. And so if you always, it's kind of like a setup, I would say. And then there's some core things that teams know that you're going to do each and every week. That are just kind of staples of your offense or defense or on special teams.
It's not like you have a lot of unscouted looks week 15 and 16, right? I mean,
No, that's not necessarily true. I mean, you're always fine-tuning things, and I mean, you're always coming up with game plan plays. Maybe it's something you saw on tape from somebody else, and somebody ran a similar concept, where you see how people react to different concepts, and you might draw something up off of that. So you certainly can get unscouted looks.
Matt, I think Bill was the one who asked you yesterday about the 3rd and 1 play that Jacobs made, and you said you didn't really know how he did it.
I still don't know how he did it.
That's my question. When
No.
you watched it on film,
I'm
you had a
like,
better idea.
yeah. So we cut the D end. We weren't blocking him on purpose. We were trying to arc release for the backer, or that was the safety. I can't remember who it was down, and then you know, either run off or block the corner. And Jalen Johnson fell off, and there was like 4 guys at the point of attack, and I think it just speaks to the kind of competitor Josh Jacobs is, his ability to just will himself, just like no different than the touchdown run. I mean, he's got a, that's why he's who he is. I mean, he's a great one, and we're lucky to have him. But I love his mindset and just how he goes out there and competes and fights for every yard.